So besides the fact that it's pouring cats and dogs where you are,
Yes.
how's the rest of your day going?
Great. Midweek, ready to go.
Oh, that's well, yes, we are recording on a Wednesday, so there you go. It's back in the day. I don't know if the phrase still holds, but we used to say happy, happy hump day.
Yep. Happy hump. Like the Geico commercial with the camel.
Yes. Yep, happy hump day. So, what's going on? What are you working on?
Yeah, we plugging away in the AI world like everybody else, trying to figure out what works, what the future is going to look like. And so that's all my cycles are in what AI is today and where are we heading on the work side anyway. That's where all my cycles are on that side.
Yeah, it's interesting. So I was having a conversation yesterday with one of my coworkers, and we were talking about so everybody's on this AI thing, like AI
Yeah.
this, AI that, and ChatGPT and Claude and Grok and all these other ones, Gemini, and there's a plethora of them out there.
Yep.
And we were talking about what it could actually look like. So, from a point of view and perspective from a visionary, the big thinker, somebody who sees like 10 years into the future, how that actually looks and what corporations are really working towards. Because right now it's been a scramble
Yeah.
and it just seems like everybody's diving into it and jumping on the bandwagon, and there's a lot of money, time, and energy being spent, and they're not seeing a lot of ROI for that effort, right?
Totally agree. Totally agree with that.
So where are we going? What's the big picture look like?
Gosh, that's a loaded question. Yeah, I would just say our perspective would be on the tech side, the AI is doing amazing things to help the technologist and programming, and on the coding side, it really is amazing. And I assume, our perspective on it's really the business side, on the commercial side, that I always say it's not ready for prime time. All of the LLMs and so many of the things. Is AI amazing in basic queries and helping to automate some basic functions? It is. It can help create content and generate emails and double check stuff and help kind of idea generation. It is amazing. But when you start to get into complex queries or want to do strategic analysis with it, there's a myriad of issues that make it problematic, especially if you're going to put your job on the line or perhaps try to down staff in some way, shape, or form. And so, totally agree that we're far away from it being a product that you could just rely on, just plug it in and let it go. And so, to your question, I think we're going to iterate over the next 3 to 5 years. It will be an amazing process that we're going to go through and rethinking how we do things, what really works. And my personal viewpoint, I think we are the two dynamics I would say that are most prevalent. I believe we are in for a big upheaval. We'll be 100 years from the Great Depression. And so we talk about the great upheaval, about how we work, how things will be done, how much will be automated, how much human input will there be, what new jobs will be created. And I think it's going to be a challenge as people rethink what their day-to-day looks like. And I think how that plays out in a workforce standpoint, uh, I usually say when we see the next generation come up and they always had an AirPod in their ear and they're like, how are they going to sit at a desk and work in any way, shape, or form like we did when we grew up? And I think they don't have to worry about that because I think we're going to go to a very much 1099 type of workforce. The days of folks having one job, working 8 to 12 hours at that job and plugging away, I think will become less and less. And I think a myriad of folks will have 3 or 4 gigs and do different things for different people from a very functional, deliverable standpoint. And it will change how we work. I think that's inevitable based upon how AI is impacting workforces and people want to have a multitude of things they work on. So those would be some of the things we see on the horizon.
Okay, so all right, taking all of that into consideration, let's drill this down a little bit and see what this looks like in real life. So let's make believe we have a guy named John, or right, just John.
Yeah.
John works as I don't know um, a CIO, okay, Chief Information Officer, right? Okay, that's his job. His job is to go out and do operations and whatever that looks like, right? So he's in this job and he's getting paid six-figure salary. what's the likelihood that his job will be like extinct because of AI? Is that reality, or is that just everybody getting scared that their jobs are going to be wiped away?
Yeah, again, I appreciate some of the precursor, the vision that we see. I'll just share some things. It seems obvious that the workforce will have less human headcount in the functions that we know today. I think that is a reality. When we see, especially the folks that are coming right out of college, they used to be analysts, some entry level positions. Are there going to be less of those, and will some of that be automated? No doubt. That seems uh, inevitable at this point. Will some of the jobs that have rote tasks that we do over and over again go away? Um, Taking inbound calls, taking orders, some of those things, will those be automated? Again, seems inevitable. Then where no one really knows is how much of a strategic workforce now becomes automated. And I think there's two paradigms to that. There's today's world. It seems like big chunks of that will become automated. And what's interesting about that, probably some high-end positions, doctors, lawyers. 5 years from now, you're going to want a AI lawyer. You're going to want an AI doctor that know
Think so?
that know everything. But picture law, you normally go hire a lawyer. Well, your lawyer, whoever you hire, whatever city you live in, knows what they studied, knows the cases their firm worked on. When you go get an AI lawyer 5 years from now, they're going to know every case that's ever been done in the state, in the country, every avenue that's gotten them off, everything that's worked, everything that's not worked. Will you want a human interaction associated with that? You will.
Yeah.
Same thing in the health career. We want to go, think about when you go to your local doctor. You know what that doctor studied, what they've seen over the years, what their practice or what their hospital really focuses on. They're well educated and smart and crazily educated about what they can do, no doubt. But compared to all the medical knowledge that's available out in the world, all over the country, in these educational places such as Johns Hopkins and Mayo Clinic and these high-end places that are doing amazing cutting edge stuff, they're not necessarily informed of those things. Your AI doctor will be. Behind the scenes, you want your AI doctor to know what is every way to treat what I'm suffering? What are all the avenues, not just what my local doctor knew through his or her experience. And so again, will there be a human front where you want to interact with somebody while you're getting advice about some legal issue, about your health? You probably do. But you're going to want the AI analysis behind it that can aggregate and see all the things. And so, again, I think there is going to be a massive shift in workforce. But the other side of that, just like the internet created a myriad of new jobs, just like every tech creates new things, there's positions today that weren't even fathomable 30 years ago. I
That's
think
true.
AI is going to create a myriad of those new things, how we work, new functions, new requirements. It's that's been our history. And so what people that get freaked out, they kind of look at it as a zero-sum game that, hey, there's only 100 jobs, as an example, and 40 of them are going to go away. Okay,
Okay.
maybe true, but it's going to create another potentially 30 jobs or 50 jobs or 100 jobs, all the new things that'll be done and how quickly it'll be done. So it seems like that's our evolution. The last thing I'll add is the problem point is going to be over the next 4 or 5 years as that shakes out, right? As maybe unemployment, some of the jobs go away. What are the new things? Will it happen in perfect proportion? Probably not, right? It's not like some of the analyst jobs will go away and now the new AI jobs are immediately available. That probably won't happen perfectly, right? So it's going to be bumpy. The next 4 or 5 years, next 10 years could be bumpy as that fleshes out and kind of the jobs that maybe go away. And now we have new opportunities, but I think we'll get there. But the next 5 or 10 years could be
Okay.
challenging to work through.
So that's interesting. It's funny. I go back to, do you remember toll collectors? Like
Sure.
people that actually stood at the
Oh,
toll booths. And
yep.
I
Take your
remember this is, yeah, well, this is like a couple generations ago,
take your
right?
quarter.
Yeah, we were a lot younger back then. The Easy Pass was coming to town. And I remember the toll booth collectors being up in arms that their jobs were going to be taken away. And it took a while, and it started slowly in some states. It started, I think, in California, and then they started rolling it towards the Northeast. By the time it hit New York, they were pretty organized. I don't know if they were unionized, the toll collectors, maybe they were, but I remember them giving local politicians and the state, the governors a really hard time with it. It ended up turning into, I mean, you don't see toll collectors anymore,
Right.
right? And people just adapted, they shifted. Okay, so if they were at the age where they could retire, they retired out. If they were at the age where they had to find a new job and they were in their 50s, they had to find some similar kind of work because they still had a particular skill set that wasn't transferable into a lot of different, like couldn't go into manufacturing. They wouldn't know how to run a die and tooling machine. So I think there's that angst about people. And you're talking about a couple generations of people who watch these things come in
Yeah.
and how it really did impact people's lives.
Yep.
And it takes a little while. On the other side of it, the technology. So let's go back to John, right? The
Yeah.
let's
Can I add one thought to what you just said?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I think it's fool's gold for any organization, set of people, union, company, to try to be like, let's stop the technology. I think we've proven over the day that
Doesn't,
those efforts are
yeah,
like, let's stop AI or let's try to regulate it or
yeah, it
what.
doesn't
Like
work.
all that is just wasted time and energy. It's never worked. It's coming. The train's coming. So now
Embrace it.
you see the train coming, right? How does it affect you? What skills can you add to your skill set? What jobs will be available? Like the let's limit it or try to stop it or let's not do it. So if you're on that mindset, encourage you to get off that. That's just it's never worked.
Yeah.
The train's coming.
Yeah,
So
it's bonkers to think that you're going to be able to stop this because
yeah,
the snowball is coming down the hill too fast. You're not
right.
going
The
to get
horse
it.
has left the barn, so
I
it's
love
running
that. That's
free.
even better. The horse of
It's
the
running
barn.
free. So let's
Yeah.
let's get on board. So.
Yeah, it's coming. It's coming. And actually, it's here. So now, if you can reframe that and embrace it and say, okay, I'm later in my years. I'm on the other side of 50.
Yep, me too.
And so I've been embracing it. And I'm like, okay, what else can I learn? How else can I incorporate this? The mindset is now it's even expanding. Like, I don't know a lot about the total capacity and what's possible with these tools because there are tools for us, right?
Yep.
So how do we learn about what we don't know?
That's such I to me life it's so much about that classic motivational theory of like it's not what happens, it's how we perceive it, right? And so this AI train is coming, we just said, and I don't think there's a course to go in tomorrow. Anyone that shows up and says, "Oh, I'm an AI expert," that's a lie. It's happening so fast. You may understand what happens today, and 3 weeks from now, one of those LLMs will release a new module, and everything you just learned or spent 3 weeks getting a certification on is literally extinct and no longer needed. So for me, I think it's just being very self-aware of the process. There's a million online little training courses and groups and should you track those and be a part of those? Yes. I, I just think it's a lot of fool's gold to pay a lot of money to go sit in some AI certification that the things we're looking at today in AI world will look like AOL in the early days of the internet, right? If somebody has an AOL email address today, you're like, you still have an AOL email address? I mean, when the internet started, those of us old enough used to put the CD in your computer, it would spin, make a fax sound, and all of a sudden you'd be online, you got mail.
Forget about the CD. I remember the floppy disk. Oh my
Right.
God, now I'm
Oh,
really dating myself.
ah, so everything that we have today in AI world is going to look so antiquated
Yeah.
2 years from now. And so to your point, I think it's just being very self-aware because it's going to affect different industries, different functions at different times. And so it's being aware, cognizant, keeping your antennas up. What's happening in my vertical? What's happening in my industry? What's happening with my job? And there's a million free tools out there today to you should be in ChatGPT and try and Claude and look into the different apps because nothing's better than you having hands on it, seeing it yourself, testing it. But no one knows. Again, the things that are available today are going to look very antiquated a couple of years from now. And so being self-aware, watching the trends in your function, watching the trends in your industry are probably what's most important, unless you're going off the map and be like, well, what I'm in is going to get decimated. So I want to start a whole new thing. I want to be in a new vertical. And I think that process has been the same for many years, which is there probably is some industrial college or VOTech you may want to take
Yeah.
yourself to, so you get some foundational elements. But I don't think there is anything today that's going to get you ready for the impact AI is going to have 2 years from now. It's a matter of being immersed in that environment, knowing that constantly new things are coming out and staying informed about what those things are. And then, as you said, embracing them, trying them, testing them, see what works, see what doesn't work. That's gonna be what the next 5 or 6 years look like.
Okay. So all of that said, now we're talking about how, and I'd like to get a little drill down specifically to how what you're doing and how you're helping organizations through the transition.
Yeah. No, I appreciate that. So yeah, our company, Front Race, the things you started with, which is, hey, there's all this money being spent. Companies, particularly in the commercial side, aren't seeing the ROI of all these pilots. They're not being deployed across the company because they're not working. They can't scale them. They thought companies feel like today, as we sit here in May, June, of like, hey, let me just put an agent, let me get an AI agent to replace a couple people or start automating some of my stuff. And the reality is, sounds simple, but anything worthwhile is not simple. We all know that. So AI is not plug and play for anything that's strategic. Can it create an email for you? Can it create some marketing content? It can. But if you're looking to analyze what your company is doing to help the process flow, or what's the steps that we want to deal on, or hey, last month, who was my top salesperson? What was their pipeline at the beginning of the month? How many outreaches did they do? And trying to analyze that type of multifaceted data, it's not ready. It's if you run that, Mark Cuban had a quote last week, which was amazing. He said, the problem with all the LLMs, no matter which one you favor, if you run the same query with the same data 3 different times, you'll get at least 2 different answers. So there's a lot of things in it that make that up. So with that as the problem set up, what Front Race does is we help companies really do 3 things. We help you unify your data set. So putting all your data elements in one place, that's the magic, because you're going to want to put AI on top of it. But if your data is not ready, if you analyze bad data, disjointed data, you're going to get bad answers no matter what. So how do you unify your data in one place and standardize it? So an Apple in your CRM is an Apple in your email references, is an Apple in your video conferences. It sounds easy, but it's not. So getting your data in order, that's number one. Two, what is your process flow? Most companies, for their sales team, for their client service team, have us as a manual, and they say, this is our process. When they hire somebody new, here's how we sell something, 29 steps. And the reality is, it's not 29, it's probably 79, right? Oh, build rapport, then so understanding the exact process flow of how you win a deal, how you sell your product, what that looks like from the time you get a lead till the time you close the deal. Most companies don't really know all the micro steps that are involved in that. And the reason that's important, if you're going to automate it, you have to tell the automation to do it. It doesn't know to do it if you don't tell it to do it. So understanding the process flow, the workflows, that's the second thing. And then last thing Front Race adds is a set of analytics to help folks of that. Once you have the data in order and you understand the workflow, hey, what are the things that are open to being automated? Where is AI fit in best? And what's the best tool? So that last piece is what everybody wants to jump to. Hey, can I plug in AI today in my company? Can I plug in AI to my group? And you're like, maybe, but if your data is not organized and you don't know all the process, you plugging in an AI agent, it's just going to break what you have. You're just going to fail, God forbid, and get fired for implementing some process that's not full. And so we help companies go through some of the foundational things they need to have in place to make AI actually work. Going back to how you started, because so many companies just started, let's do an AI pilot. Their data is not ready. They don't really understand what their people are doing at a micro level. And so plugging in an AI agent on top of that just makes it break faster. And so we help companies get all that house in order and then actually apply a series of AI products that work well for them.
Okay. So, all right. Can you give us an example of one of your best client situations? You don't have to tell us the name, just what they actually needed and how you came in and what solution you provided.
So we have an array. Our standard deployment looks really similar almost for all of our clients, which is most companies have 6 to 10 systems in place, believe it or not, on the commercial side. So a CRM, email, phone, a pipeline management tool, video conference, Slack, some messaging system, a sales enablement tool. Maybe you have Gong, Cleary. You have all these tools trying to manage and oversee your team, right? That's the infrastructure most, if you're a new sales employee, you walk into.
Yeah.
So with all those clients, our clients typically have that set up. We come in and it's about takes less than 2 weeks, start to connect those data sets and make them uniform, as I mentioned. And so do that across the board. We have a client that had about 10 different systems. Frustrated, they didn't really know what their people were doing and what success looked like. So the first thing was, let's unify the data, get it standardized. That was about a 2 week effort. And then, hey, we really want to focus on our SDR effort first. Okay. Well, what do your SDRs do? So again, they had a sales manual. Hey, well, they normally just reach out on LinkedIn and they send a message, then they send an email, then we schedule a call, and you're like, no, no, no. Once you have the data connected, the AI can start to analyze, here's what your people actually do. So from the time you get a lead, here's every single step to turn that lead over to the sales team. And it blew their mind, all of the things that the SDRs were doing, because it's all a bunch of micro little things there's a box, again, it says build rapport. You're like, well, what is that? Well, they reach out on LinkedIn. It is a connection request. And then here's something about our company. And then here's a piece of data that's really valuable. And then maybe on the fourth, fifth, or sixth thing, can you say, hey, would you love to see what we do? Or can
We
we?
schedule an appointment. Uh-huh.
Right. I mean,
So can you just go back for a second? Because I think there might be some listeners who don't know what an SDR is. Can you just explain the acronym?
Sure. A sales development rep is really trying to take in the old school, a salesperson would handle everything from find the lead to qualify the lead to do the demo to sell it. And so a majority of companies have kind of taken that front end lead gen part, right? Trying to, how do I find a lead, prime it, and then hand it over to a sales rep to talk about the solution and ideally turn that into a finalized sale. But an SDR normally handles kind of finding leads, qualifying them, telling them something about the company, getting them ready for a demo, or getting them ready to telling them all the background stuff about the company. And some of that can be automated. Some people have maybe at your company you've done emails, some of that process to outreach and build leads and find leads. But a lot of that today in professional sales is on LinkedIn, finding people that might be interested in your product or service, connecting with them. Again, tell them something about one, building rapport. People hate when you accept their invite and then you get pitched 10 minutes later. Everyone hates that. So trying to do some things in there that add value and then working that out and then trying to set a time and date where somebody on the sales side can actually kind of at an in-depth level tell folks about the product. So we literally unify the data, tell companies what the process really is, and then start to look at tools that can handle that process. Because what people want to do is plug a tool in, and if you don't have a way to measure the impact of the tool, how long do you let that go? Right? Like you mentioned, people are frustrated that the results aren't great. Well,
Yeah.
do you test the AI agent for 3 weeks, 3 months, 2 years? And what are you testing? Do you wait till the sales rep say all the leads you send over stink? Like you need to have a foundation of analytics so that as you start to automate some things, you start to put AI into your stuff. How do you analyze its effectiveness? Is it really working? Are we better? Are we more efficient? And so that's the process we go through with every client. And what's great, I'll just say the real world part of it is this AI tool that's the last mile is going to continue to change. What tool you use, again, very few people are on AOL today, right? The tool you use is going to continue to change as it gets better. You want to have a good foundation of analytics so you can measure that tool and realize maybe when it's out of date, right? And so that's really what we help companies put in a foundation so they can constantly analyze what's working and what's not working.
It's really interesting. So, okay, you've got all right, I'm going to use my team as an example. So we're a team of coaches. We're
Yep.
performance coaches, we're life coaches. There's a team of different types of business advisory, executive coaching.
Yep.
And so, and I think to your point, when you said before, there's still a human component to this.
Yep.
So there's talk about our team in particular having the tools where all of the coaches are required to go through high level AI training so that we don't just use it for our individual businesses, but we can actually go in and teach our clients how to use it more effectively for their businesses.
Sure. Yep.
So, and we've gone back and forth, and some people are like, it's going to take the place of coaching, and people aren't going to want to pay for a coach. And I think there probably is a piece of that where people are going to, they wouldn't be hiring coaches anyway, because they're looking for the silver bullet.
Yep.
Like you said before, right? They're not willing to really do the work and roll up the sleeves. And so I think that human component is really important. So do you bring any of that to your clients? Do you tell them that this is going to work and yet you still need A, B, or C? Like, what's the advice that goes with you bringing this to
Yeah,
your
sure. We purposely, when we created Front Race, wanted to be strategic so that we can plug in and add insight where folks want, or deep dive and automate the whole thing. And so they have analytics into whole. It's like, do we just want to look at part of it? Do we want to look at the whole thing? And so we try to marry to what our clients want. And so in your example, if you have a coaching practice, let's say you have 10 coaches, right? Inevitably, let's just set aside the core coaching function. We can come back to that. There's really two parts that you care about. Most people, hey, how do I get somebody to be my client? What does that look like? Right? Like, how do I meet them? What's the interaction? How many interactions? What do I share with them? What do I tell them? What don't I tell them? What's the best lead in? So all that stuff before they become a client, what's that look like? How do we manage it? What's good and what wasn't good when we didn't get the client? Typically, those two things have traits that are similar. What does it look like when we get the client? What does it look like when we don't? Right? Start to analyze that at a micro level. It's been lost for years. When I'll come back to an analogy, I'll give you in a second, but it's the front end piece you want to know about. And then let's say you've had 10 sessions with them. Hey, how do I have a client for multiple years? Right? Like how can we have them be a client? How do I retain them longer? What does that look like? Do I send them a contract? Is it more interactions? What's the retention part look like? And so that's what we help people analyze. In those two buckets, what's happening? What are the functions? What are the interactions? And so I'll just share this one. People are like, what's obvious? What's not obvious? Because I'll tell you, this is what happens at every company in America. If you have 10 people, 2 people have the exact same metrics in a system. Same pipeline, same number of outreach, same number of emails. Why is one outselling the other one 3x? That happens in every company in America. There's somebody on staff. Chuck and Mary are crushing it, 2 of them, and the other 8 people are like, they're average. They're okay. But Chuck and Mary are crushing it. And if you're the head of that team, CEO walks in, the board walks in and says, hey, head of sales, why are Chuck and Mary crushing it and everybody else average? What's the head of sales say?
they're just better. They don't know.
They make up, they totally make stuff. Well, they're very personable. They come from the industry. They literally, for the last 40 years, since we've been analyzing stuff on the commercial side, when the first CRM showed up, we literally make something up. All the analytics we have, we make up why Chuck and Mary are so good. Well, they're just more personable. Oh, they're just better at the demo. Oh, they just work harder. Oh, they want it more. Oh, they work at night. It's totally made up. We have all these metrics, all these KPIs, and we still don't.
And it doesn't mean anything. Mhm.
And
Yeah.
so we believe the difference between these people is 20 small things. It's 20 small details that we've historically ignored. And so that's what AI and that's what the future analytics, it's like, what's happening on the front end? What are your best coaches doing to get the client, immerse them, intrigue them, make them want to be a client, right? What are they doing how do we measure that? What are the micro steps happening? How many? How long do you talk to them? Not only what it is, how long between interactions? We all feel different. If you get an email every day from somebody you feel different than if you get an email every fourth day, than if you get an email once a month, right? Those are different experiences. And
Yep.
so sometimes it feels like a stalker, sometimes it feels like you're being ignored, but it's not just what's happening, it's when it's happening, the gaps between them, what's sent. So analyzing that so you can repeat it. And again, same thing on the backside. That's the magic of why somebody sells 3x. It's 20 small details that we've never measured and never been able to dive into because the tech was too hard. But now AI provides the ability to start measuring the details and what's happening. And so for a practice like yours, we'd help you be better at closing more deals, faster, ideally at a higher value, help you retain them, keep them longer, engage them. The middle part, right, we could talk about that for a long time. What's that? What's coaching look like? What models do we share? How much of
Yep.
that maybe somebody's comfortable asking ChatGPT? Where are they not then all of a sudden asking when do they want human input? Those are some things in the middle that are more art than science.
Yeah, that's interesting. So in the in the example of, let's just keep going with the coaching, right?
Yep.
There's there's also, and even with your clients, all of this is taking place with the camera looking inward. We're looking at our systems, our processes, our steps,
Yep.
our training, our skill set, right? At what point do we turn that camera around and say, what does the client really need? And then how do we match that and put that into our SOPs and into our systems?
Sure. I think you're asking, hey, at what point, as we make our internal operations better, do we share impact our client base, our customers with what AI is happening? Is that's kind of the focus of the.
Well, let's no, not even before that. Right now, everything that we've been talking about, and anything anybody's talking about with how to implement AI for themselves, it's an inward look. It's an inward analysis. We're going to look at our systems, our processes, our people, our steps, our technology. And we're going to work internally to make our systems better and make our, criteria and track our information.
Yep.
In coaching, especially, and from the sales perspective, if I was a client on the other side, I would want to be asked, what do you need from us? How do we make your experience better as a client who would want to get not just more value out of it, but continue that? Like, when do we turn the camera out there and say, okay, what does the end user need? What does the client need to, what do they want? You
Yeah,
know?
but my experience, Deborah, I think that's happened a lot. Here's the example I would give you. When we deal with a company, whatever software they've already purchased, every one of those software packages now has an AI module trying to make it better. When you go to any website, I'm shocked. We talk to companies all day about implementing AI. I am shocked. The most antiquated company you can imagine. Pick a furniture company. They make furniture. If you go to any furniture company's website today, I guarantee you AI is on their homepage.
Yeah, chatbot.
But you're like, no, but I mean, even they're talking about it. They're like, hey, we'll use AI to lay out design your area better.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Everybody,
Got it.
my point is everybody is trying to not only we focus on helping making their internal operations better. How can we be smarter? How can we do better? But there is a myriad of folks that are trying to say, hey, AI will do what to help your life, right? Like and all things, so many. And so in the coaching world, I assume that interaction is, hey, why are you coming to me as a coach? What
Yes,
are the
we
things
ask that every week. Yep.
right? What's top of mind for you?
Yep.
What's bothering you, or what aspiration do you have? And so then I would assume in all those worlds, there's a myriad of very advanced AI things that could be super cutting edge that some people may be comfortable with. Some people may not because it's so cutting edge. But I think there's a myriad of really almost futuristic type solutions to help people. Like you think OpenAI has the commercial in the old days, you were trying to work out and get in shape. You you do a lot on your own. You search Google. You could go in today and be like, "Hey, I want to lose, pick it, 30 pounds by the end of the year." It would almost give you a day by day
Yep.
exactly what to do. not maybe, not guesswork, not work out 3 times a week, go for a little walk, don't eat fast food. It will literally, to a micro level, as detailed as you want to be, tell you all verbatim what to do. And so I think that exists in almost all functions these days. It's just a matter of, again, how comfortable people are taking that advice. How much does it feel impersonal, for lack of a better word, and trying to sift through that. Different people feel differently about it. So
So it's funny that you said that. So do you remember before microwaves, it took an hour and a half? I use this as an example all the time because it's mind blowing to me. Before microwaves, we had to wait an hour and a half for a baked potato to
yeah.
cook in the oven. 350, an hour and a half, poke
Yep.
some holes in it, wash it, poke some holes in it, throw it in the oven. And it took an hour and a half, 90 minutes you had to wait for the, right? Now you stick it in the microwave, 6 minutes on each side, you're done, right? So, and then we started with the internet. Then we get the computer in front of us,
Yeah.
and we would sit for hours, like you said, going through the websites, looking for the research, not knowing when a website was just giving us a lot of, just fluff, and then looking for and then identifying where the actual more close to factual data actually resided. And then intellectually, we could decide that we wanted to stick with that, not necessarily always Wikipedia. Well, I'm not dissing Wikipedia. It has its place, right? So now I think that that's one of the things that I think a lot of people don't realize. Like when you go into AI, you go into ChatGPT, and I tell this to my clients. When you go into ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini, any of them, Grok is another one, and you're looking for information, where do you think it's coming from? It's coming from the internet. It's doing those hours of searching for you in a couple minutes, in a couple seconds. So what I suggest, and tell me if this is totally bad advice or not. I suggest when you put a prompt in to your chat, because they're not doing agents right now.
Yeah.
It's like the next step for them to learn how to do agents. But when they put a prompt, I say to them, you have to give it very specific information and direction. You have to say, I want this information. I want you to use specifically, specific websites that are validated with accurate. And then I want you to tell me what websites you're pulling the information from. And
Yep.
it'll give it to them.
Yep.
Because otherwise, how does anybody know what they're getting?
Yeah.
What is
I
it
think
coming
that's true. I think for the introductory user, I did this for my mother-in-law the other day. The paradigm is people love Google. Google came out of nowhere, and you're like, oh, Google it. Da, da, da. And what's interesting, looking back now, we'd Google something, and then you would use your human analysis of the returns and sift through them. Quick, be like, this is one good, not. You'd still have to hunt and peck and kind of finish the sentence, right? You'd be like, hey, what's the recipe? And here it is, and they give you 22 options, and you pick through one. Now, as I did with my mother-in-law, like you go to just say ChatGPT, type that in, it'll with great opinionated clarity tell you exactly what it thinks. It kind of finishes that last mile, so you don't have to sit through. It'll be like, hey, here's what we would recommend. I mentioned earlier for a workout. Now, with that said, so that experience typically is better, so you don't have to sift through what's real and not real. But to your point, now it's, hey, what is in that result that you're giving me, that very opinionated result? If you didn't, folks probably saw last year, Deloitte, major consulting firm, delivered a client engagement report that had made up data, made up quotes that the LLM had literally made up. You might have heard the term hallucinate. So again, one of the reasons is, in my mind, not ready for prime time to stake your job on. The AI will definitely hallucinate and drift and connect some things that maybe aren't always accurate. True story. So I think you're right. It is pertinent for folks, especially the more important it is to them. Where are you pulling this from? And so one of the things that's I don't know what the right word is, annoying or odd to me about the AI. It will give you an opinion about a topic. What's the right workout? Where's the best restaurant? Whatever the thing is. If you push back on most of the models today, it will change its answer. If
It
you
absolutely
if
does all the time.
you say, I really don't like that place, you're like, you know what? You're right. That place actually is not good.
It actually does that. You're right.
It
It
will
says,
literally,
what, great catch. Or it'll say, great catch. That's a great method. Good. Yeah, yeah. It
right, it is,
likes to compliment us, doesn't it?
right.
Yeah.
Again, I say that AI is great. It's amazing. It's going to change so much about what we do. But it on the commercial side, outside of very basic analysis, is challenging. And if you don't believe that and you hear this, just again, do the Mark Cuban. Take the same set of data, ask the same question multiple times, and look at the array of answers you'll get. And that can be really frustrating if you're trying to do strategic things. So as you're venture down this road, you really need a data partner or somebody who is working in it to help keep you on the highway so you don't veer off and be like, how did I get here? What happened? I ran a query, it said do this, da da da. And so to your
You're
point,
off into another direction, yeah.
it's good
So if
advice.
somebody wants to get a hold of you and have you work with them or find out about what you do and how do they get a
Yeah.
hold?
Super easy. Frontrace.com, frontrace, FRONTRACE.com. Or I'm on LinkedIn almost every day. Jack Siney, Siney. You can find me in either spot. We actually do the first part of what we do for free too. So if you run a company and you're unsure about what AI should be for you or what the first step should be, we'll come out and do an analysis, get you kind of an AI readiness analysis we'll do for your company, totally free, and give you some insights that'll make you super smart about what's
Awesome.
happening behind the scenes. And then you can decide if you want to execute on anything to automate what you're doing.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being a guest. I appreciate the conversation. I'm always open to learning, so I might just take you up on that offer. So,
Amen. Thanks, Deborah. Appreciate it so much. God bless.
thank you.
Gotta love, gotta love, gotta love.